Hello, everybody. This is the afternoon version, at least in California, for the October 20th Technovation Master Educator meeting. Welcome, you guys. I'm going to keep your mics on for now because there's only a couple of us in the afternoon section. So if you want to say anything, feel free. If I hear a lot of background noise, I might mute you, but otherwise, we're all good. Thanks for coming to the afternoon version. I'm happy to see you guys again, even if I can't see your beautiful faces right now. I am here and I'm excited. So, the first thing I wanted to do was to thank you all. I'm just now returning back from a very long stretch of working just part time, and I thought it would be a little easier to keep up with all of you, but since there are so many of you and I asked you to do so much, it might take me just a little while longer to actually send you comments on each of the deliverables you had. So I have been reading them, I have been absorbing them, and I will be responding hopefully this weekend or tomorrow. So thank you for your patience. And you guys are obviously doing a lot of stuff already. So that's why this meeting will be pretty kind of meaty. But before I start, every month I throw in a little Easter egg so I know that people are listening to the meetings and just add a little fun. Does anybody happen to know or can guess who these two women might be or what computer they're using and what year it might be? You can use the chat or you can just talk.
I saw it in the. Oh, hi everyone, it's Rodney.
Hi, Rodney.
I saw this thing in the computer museum, but I can't remember the date. I'm dead.
You only saw like a very small portion of it because the Smithsonian has the rest.
Yeah, like the I don't know, some of the circuit. I saw it at the computer museum.
Yay! It's the ENIAC, correct, Jill. And these
Oh,
two
nice.
we'll talk about who they are towards the end because I don't want to give it all away. And then I'll ask you a true or false question about it. So that's exciting. Just a reminder to you guys that if you want to get your stipend, it would be great to get your invoices and either your W-8 or W-9s. I'm pretty sure that everyone who's on the call right now has done this, but it's just a friendly reminder. I want to see your page. Oh yeah, listen, I'm just waiting, and I realize, oh, Jill, oh my gosh, okay, well, not you too. All right. Well, I want to make sure that you all get paid. So the sooner you can get me your invoices and all that, the sooner you can get paid. So that is all I have to say right now. I'll be sending out an email after this to remind you where the links are to all that. So don't worry. Alrighty. So this past month, you guys have all been working to sort of prepare not just your clubs, but to lead a kickoff event that will get everyone excited, that will unite mentors with students, with, possibly tech professionals, all that fun stuff. And in the coming months, since you've probably already guessed, we have a new curriculum that's being worked on, and the general core of that curriculum is pretty similar to last year. But I hope that you find it a lot nicer and more user friendly. Oops, oh, thanks. Yeah, I was hearing a bit of feedback, so we had to do a little muting here. Okay, so I'm also going to be asking you in order to prepare for next month. It should be a little less intense, I'm hoping, for both you guys and me, because I'm sifting through a lot of information, and I realize that I need to step back a little bit and let you guys do your thing and report back on some of your best practices so we can all learn. So I'll be talking a little bit more of the library of activities and best practices that I'm starting to now assemble. So that'll be fun. You guys are full of a lot of really good info and insight, and it's been really exciting for me to see, what adaptations you've been making to suggestions and what's working well for you guys and where your stumbling blocks are. So today, with that in mind, there's so many announcements, and I'm not gonna be able to go into huge detail about all of them. But I just wanted to celebrate our accomplishments and let you know about a few things that even, are pretty subtle things going on in the Technovation team so that you're all in a loop. Talk about some trends so basically how you're doing in relation to everybody else so that you feel comfortable. I'll share with you the launch workshop kit, which I made a little bit more formal, and we still need to do a little more work. But I thought I'd share this info with you sooner than later because you might be leading a launch workshop soon. So I just wanted to make sure you got info. And to also let you know that we've been taking what you guys have been saying pretty seriously. I created like a 3-page information for parents little guide that you can give them, and also just check in about the stipends, expectations for what you're going to be spending, your that $1,000 basically that we can offer you in addition to the $2,000 over 2 year stipend, and what those differences are. I know it's a little confusing, so we just want to clarify all that. Any questions so far? All right, I'm just going to keep talking at you unless you interrupt me. I gladly receive interruption, and I'm checking out the chat always. So don't if you don't really want to talk, you can just type in your question in chat. So I guess our biggest announcement, and which ties directly into the curriculum, is that we partnered with Google's Made with Code, which is their Girls in Technology initiative, and UN Women to launch the 2017 season. And as a result of this, we've been listening to things that interest them too. And part of our partnership is, circling around a sponsorship to help with our prize structure at the end. And some of the things they want us to do are focus on very specific topics that the UN is also focusing on, which I think is really cool. So instead of just solving any problem with technology, which girls and teens are allowed to do, we're asking that teens focus on these, what we're calling sustainable development goals by the UN. And I'll get a little bit more into that. There are problems that the UN is trying to solve worldwide, and they have, big plans leading up to 2030, all these things. And it's kind of interesting that they want us to do this, and I think it kind of matches and aligns really well with Technovation because we want girls to not only solve problems in their communities, but think a little more globally about how those solutions could be applied. So we'll get a little bit more into that. I just thought it was really cool. And in the morning call, actually, not Vivek, but Zico. Zico mentioned that the woman in the center of the photo is a famous Indian actress, potentially. I didn't know her name. I wasn't at this event, sadly, but I think if he's correct and she is an actress, that's pretty cool that girls from our teams and stuff got to be on stage with her in the Made with Code initiative. So the girl who's directly to her left was on the New Dork team, who was a finalist team from New York. And they created an app to kind of sell fruit and vegetables that are ugly. So, it's a small world. It's pretty cool that she's up there. We just want to bring to attention all the cool things that are going on, especially when they involve our previous teams. So, fun. And yes, I know. It's pretty cool. So, oh, you watched the event online, Rodney? Neat. Was it fun?
Yeah, but mostly just entertainment.
Oh, okay. That's kind of. Well, anyways, I'm glad you saw it. I'll have to live vicariously through you, as usual, because you seem like a pretty fun person. So, some things that you may or may not have noticed, we sent out emails about what's different and new about this season, and that we're focusing on these sustainable development goals. So, on our website right now, we have poverty, environment, peace, and equality, especially, gender equality. And I'm pretty sure it already got updated on the website, but in case you didn't know, we've added health and education. And these are all really broad categories. So if you're worried, and they also tie into the judging rubric. So one of the scoring mechanisms we have is, does the app and the solution fall into one of these categories? If you're worried about it, I would try and get your teams to focus on these development goals as they're thinking about the problems they want to solve, and not to worry because they can still solve any problem they want. But they should know that if they aren't focusing on these goals, they might not get the full points in that category. That said, the categories are really broad. So we have links on the website to what these development goals mean, more information about that. I would definitely check it out with your teams. Does anyone have any questions on that? Because that is like an area where we're diverting pretty much from last year. And I just wanted to make sure everyone felt comfortable with that and are also excited about it. I think it'll help, narrow down. Um, it'll help. Actually, it could.
That's
Yeah, it'll help students if they have troubles figuring out what kind of problems they might want to solve.
does the equality refer to gender or what is? Oh, probably I'll review the SDG.
Yeah, review it definitely. Um, I do remember seeing gender equality being described in that SDG, so definitely check it out though. And Ison's asking, so there's no more local impact theme. Correct. We don't explicitly state that as one of the themes. So yeah, I can see how that might hurt some people who might have already started in the process with their teams. So if you definitely have any questions, let me know and we can talk through it. I just wanted to make this
But
all,
it can,
oh yeah?
sorry, I was like just talking about the local impact theme. It can be a local impact theme, but it can go in line with poverty, environment, peace, and equality, if that's something soothing.
Yeah. And just to open it up a little bit, the environment one actually encapsulates three of the SDGs. There's one on climate change, there's one on life on land, and there's one life in like under the sea or something. So those,
Okay.
yeah, it's not as constrictive as it might seem on the surface. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. And also, some other changes you might have noticed is that we're calling the high school and the middle school divisions different things. So the younger students will be in the junior division, and the older ones will be in the senior ones. And and we even get pretty narrow, and we're defining this by age because in some countries, students go to university earlier or later, or there's a whole range of systems in the world about how you're grouped according to age. So we just decided to go by age. And so if everyone's under 15 by August 1st, 2017, they'll be in the junior division. If they're between 15 and 18, they'll be in the senior division. One clarification I wanted to make is that if your team has some students who fall into both categories, then they'll be judged as seniors. So, we wouldn't want a team that had like all these juniors plus one senior to be considered juniors because they might have that extra brain power that the senior brings. So it is technical. We do rely on teams to self identify their age. So if you're helping your teams register, you might want to like double check their birth dates because sometimes they accidentally make a mistake in the year that they put down and it's not intentional, but so that's that. And we The Curiosity Machine team, which is the other program of Iridescent, has helped step in my absence the past few months, and they've done a really stellar job working alongside with me to update the curriculum. They've done all the heavy hitting, and you'll notice that there's a 20-week version and there's a 12-week version. In the past, we've kind of like packaged this whole experience as a 3-month program. But now we're offering opportunities for teams to work a little longer, which, if I was a teacher, I would probably choose because this is not easy stuff. So another major difference is that the junior division will not be judged on the entrepreneurial stuff. So the business plan is not something that the junior division is going to have to do. So that's a pretty important distinction. Does anyone have any questions about that? Which age group are you guys working with? You can write in the chat if you're worried about all talking at the same time.
We'll have teams in both.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to mute you, Gabriella. I'm sorry. There's a lot of extra sound coming out of your phone or laptop. Okay, so yeah, that's just something to also keep in mind. It's a pretty big distinction this year. So you can spend extra time working with your younger teams on the problem identification and the technical solution. You're not going to have to worry about all the business plan stuff. I mean, if you want to still do that with your teams, you can, but we're not requiring it this year. So that's another thing. Another thing to note is we don't have a huge budget to do many translations into different languages, but we would be fine if you had a trusted person who wanted to take what we currently have in English and translate it into your native language. Someone's asking, are they following the same curriculum? And the answer to that is yes. They're following exactly everything else, except they just are not expected to do the business plan. So French is a language we'll probably have translated. So yeah. Okay. And what do you guys think about the new interface? I find it a lot more friendly and engaging. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, we've been working pretty hard over the summer to get this all up and gussied up. So I'm excited. Another major thing is that you can see a picture of Monica, who's my colleague. She mostly works with the Curiosity Machine program, but she's going to be helping this year support mentors. Another major difference is that instead of having coaches and mentors, there's just going to be mentors because we found that there was a lot of overlap and we just thought we'd streamline it this way. So if you have questions, Monica can also help you. Yeah, she's awesome. She's on Slack. She started the Mentor Slack channel. So yeah, I would explore that too, because you're going to see, I mean, that's a much wider spectrum of mentors that are on that channel. And I'm hoping to share your expertise and the best practices I kind of nabbed from you guys and apply them across the board and share them with mentors at large. Hi, Yvette. Okay, so if you're wondering who Monica is, that is Monica. And she is great. She is a really fun person to work with. All right, so I just also wanted to provide you guys with a summary since I've been reading all of your reports, which are awesome, and thank you. So you have a kind of idea of where other people are at, where you're at in the spectrum of things. Right now, some of the things I've noticed are that some of the master educators don't know what they don't know yet. They don't know how many devices they might need. So that was a kind of interesting observation because some of you are newer, like Rodney, and some of you have been doing this for a while. And the response to that is I've seen, coaches or now mentors in Cameroon sharing like their the educator is sharing their laptop with many teams. So I've seen situations where, very limited resources are shared and they still manage to get the job done, even though it's not optimal, to all the way down the spectrum of where they're going to Goldman Sachs in India to use laptops and computers at Goldman Sachs. So whatever your problem is, chances are that other educators have found ways to circumvent those problems. And you should definitely be sharing them on Slack so you can help answer each other's questions. I would say at minimum, you're going to need a laptop and an Android device. There's hardly any way to get around that. So that's the bare minimum. And there's been also some questions around how do we best communicate with younger students who don't have access to email. I know with Google and Gmail, they don't encourage at all people who are under 13 to have an email address with them. So one way of circumventing that has been to have the mentor set up some email, and work that way, and then transmit information to students that way. And Edmodo has been used. Oh, WhatsApp also. I did notice that some groups have been using WhatsApp to communicate with each other. And that's a pretty great idea. You can create groups, you can do all sorts of things. So it depends on what tool you like and what you're comfortable with. Weekends have been difficult, especially for some people working in Europe. In some cultures, weekends are sacred. I wish I could say that about the US, but we're workaholics here, especially in California. I think we have a culture of volunteerism because a lot of our social needs aren't met by, other countries have more of a social safety net. They have more safeguards about working during the weekends. We get that. Some of the ways that people work around this are to find, smaller slices of time during the week to meet with their teams. So, translation, that's another big thing. As I mentioned before, we don't have a gigantic budget for many, many language translations, but we're fine if you have a trusted person who might want to take that ball and roll with it. Also, going back a little bit to the stipends, you guys are going to get $2,000 over 2 years if you stay with us another year. And we have, this year we can offer up to $1,000 in additional costs that you might have. And if you're not spending a lot of money on other things and you want to spend a little money on getting a translation, that would be within your purview. You could decide whether that's something you want to do and spend your money on. So, are any of you having particular problems with language versions of the curriculum? Yeah. Yes, Spanish. Hi, Yvette. I think that I need to talk to Madhvi, and she's out of the office today, about which languages we're going to be going after first. My assumption very basically is that Spanish, French, Portuguese are all really big ones for us. So, yeah. And also I know that Ayoub Ramouni, who's our master educator in Morocco, has created a lot of French version kind of videos. So, yeah, we'll be sharing best practices and videos. And then finally, some of you have had questions about where do the divisions lie between master educators and regional ambassadors. In our earlier call today, we had master educators who are doing double duty, and that's okay because they've been a regional ambassador for a while, for a few years. What we're generally asking to do is if you know that there is a regional ambassador in your area, and we'll have info about that on our website soon. We're hoping that you guys will work in a spirit of cooperation where possible, that you guys will collaborate, and the onus of serious fundraising would go to your regional ambassador, while you as master educators focus on the curriculum and really, sharing your stories and what's working curriculum-wise. pairing up with student ambassadors too, if you have one in your area, or finding, a team from your area who's an alumni who can just come and breathe life into any sessions you're having by giving real world examples of what it's like to be in the challenge. So, any questions there? Are there any stumbling blocks that I didn't mention that you guys are facing right now that you'd like to talk about? Feel free, don't be shy. You can also type them. Curriculum choice. 12 versus 20 weeks. That's a good point, Yvette. I would say if this was my first time unleashing this curriculum and really grappling with it, I would go for 20 weeks. But it also depends. Like if you have very tech savvy students who already know how to code or, who might not have an English as a second language kind of challenge, you could easily do the 12-week version. I think it's kind of hard to do all this in 12 weeks, to be honest. It's like a boot camp. So I think if you're in doubt and you have the time, definitely go for the 20-week. How do you guys feel about that? Curious to know how many teams are consulting the curriculum. I just have the numbers of people who have been registered. We actually have a large number of people registered already, and this year we're making them register in order to access the curriculum. The only thing we're trying to track better is where they are in the curriculum. So some of them, just from anecdotes I've been reading in emails, they've already chosen the topic that they want to solve. So there are some teams who have started. Yeah. So pretty cool. Today we are also looking at the number of countries where the most people are registering from, and Bolivia is number 10. So bravo, Gabriela. Where else was another big one? Spain was one. So it seems like you guys might have gotten, a good head start. Cool. All right. Just also letting you know that we've been listening to what you guys are saying. We take it pretty seriously. When you guys say that you want a resource, we try our best to create one. And one of the requests I saw, on a regular basis was, how do we get parents more engaged? How do we let them know it's safe for their daughter to do this program? So there's two things that we did. One of them was I created like a parent info handout. And if you go in the notes section of the slide, you can access that in your materials panel. And also I'll send out an email after. There's a parent handout. It's like 3 pages. There's also, Monica has also led the efforts on internet safety for Technovation Challenge. And this internet safety is pretty cool, actually. We partnered with Common Sense Media, which is based here in the US, and they have all sorts of cool digital citizenship kind of courses that families can take, that students can do, that you can look at. And it's not just about what to do when there's cyberbullying going on, what to do if you posted a horrible picture of yourself in a party situation, but also how do you attribute information that you find online? What's the deal with copyrights? This is going to be really important this year, and we also want to make sure that we have a code of honor, and we're working on getting one of those written so that teams sign it and mentors sign it, saying that the information that was created, the app that was created, was done solely by the girls. So even if an adult helped a little bit, the expectation there is that students are creating the work. So yeah, you can be on the lookout for that. We'll be sending that. So I would recommend going to our website, iridescentlearning.org, and just looking at what these offerings are. and considering taking some. And funnily enough, this week is Digital Citizenship Week, so it's a good time to be thinking about that. Common Sense Media is a really great resource. And if you have specific questions, you can always email Monica. Her email, I'm going to type it in here, is monica@iridescentlearning.org. I saw a question come in about the curriculum should also be according to the school calendar of whichever country. I'd like to address that because it's going to be really hard for us to please everybody. Our timeline has been created with as much wiggle room as possible to give people enough lead time so that if your school calendar isn't, falling in our timeline, like for instance, we expect people to submit in late April every year. That cycle probably is not going to change because there's just too many variations in calendars around the world. And yeah, I mean, I wish that we could accommodate that, but I would say because there's enough lead time now, because we're trying to start people earlier, if you need to start earlier, you should, and just submit earlier. So realizing we can't satisfy everybody, that was the best compromise we could come up with. All right. Any questions about digital citizenship, safety, stuff like that? You guys are so quiet today. Is it really late where you are? You're listening? All right. I'll take your word for it. Oh, it's midnight in Spain? Okay, that makes sense. All right. If you're sleepy, I get it. I'm still on New York time, so I'm a little bit dazed and confused myself. Ah, you guys are funny. All right. Okay, so I wanted to just do some shout outs, let you guys know about what great things are going on. If you wow and dazzle me in your report, chances are you could be spotlighted next time. So unless you're shy, it would be great to show great pictures. So this time I'm going to be spotlighting Tunisia and Australia. And the first is Isen. Isen, you totally rule. We love you so much. Madhvi told me how great that your presentation sounded when she joined you yesterday. So I stole a few pictures from your report. I hope you don't mind. And also some of the best practices. And you gave a great talk about tips for mentors. And since I have you online, if you want to summarize, I put a link to your presentation here. And I'll just show that on screen quick. Oops. Hopefully, get in there.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so for the out, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so for yesterday was a great success. It was an event organized by by Amal Ghouila, which is who is the regional ambassador, and she managed to gather all the participants, like me as master educator and Narmeen as the student ambassador, and some other mentors with her, and help some other persons, like with her organization, with the new association for Technovation. I don't know if you're already. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And yesterday, so I was given a presentation, a quick presentation, for the best practices. And as you know, in here, I can't move the presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
as you can see in here, it's about best practices for mentors, and for those like potential mentors, the persons who want to be mentors and just don't know how to be a mentor or what to do as a mentor in Technovation. So it was about, first of all, recruiting wisely. It's about how to recruit, some tips about recruiting. And second, it was about, it's like for the recruiting was it's to look for interested girls and not oblige girls to participate. You have like a little sister or a cousin that that she intends in high school or middle school, that you have to oblige her to go to do the program. It has to be the girls should be interested at first, and then how to keep motivation till the end, how to like organize some field trips or to motivate them to go to workshops, because in Tunisia here we have like a lot of workshops and PEDS and code sessions and so on. So how to motivate them to go to these workshops. And the third tip that I gave was about for the extra support. It was for the extra resources and support. How like every team has its own idea, so every team should have like extra resources about the problem and the issue. And so like as a mentor, your role is to find and help them find some extra resources about like dealing with their issue. And the fourth point is, yeah, these are like some images about me last year as a mentor, like the field trip and the PEDS and code session with my team.
I love
Yeah, these pictures. I love this picture. And the one above too. It was like a field trip to a startup near my university and the high school the girls are attending. So it's like it was just like contacting the startup and just organize like 2 hours visit to the startup. And then it's the fourth, yeah, but the fourth practice was about contacting parents, which is really important because last year I barely had like a problem with dealing with parents' trust about what Technovation is about. So I think that contacting parents and letting them know what Technovation program is about is so important, like here in Tunisia and all around the world. So parents like have the right to know what me as a mentor or every mentor is doing with the kids, with the girls. So it's like it's about dealing with girls under 18, and it's like they are children, so they are like under their parents. I don't know, like their parents' authority or something like that. So like and the plus for contacting parents is that they can cooperate with you, like insight on what the girl like personality and behavior, and you can like follow the progress of their personality and so on through the Technovation process. It's like it was very life-changing experience for the team I've mentored last year, so I can really relate to that progress and to know how they were before the program and how they become after the program. And like I was very happy to see that Technovation had a specific registration for parents. So this guy, like this was very important thing to do, guys, and congrats for that.
Yeah.
Thank you also for that.
Yeah, it was really.
And the last best practice that I've shared yesterday, it was about the management team, management teamwork, and I emphasized about mentors are not supposed to do the work.
Thank you.
They are just because like we have a tendency in here to just when things just can't get on the deadline, like some mentors went to the I don't know, the simple solution or the just to do the work for the girls, and just give them the app done by like professionals or experts and just prepare them for the pitch. And this is not the goal of the program. So I just clarified that yesterday, that as a mentor, you're not here to do the work for the team. Like, you can supervise them, you can give them feedbacks on their work, you can make some deadlines and so on, solve some conflicts between the teams and so on, but you have to ensure the progress and not to do the work or the progress.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, and I've just shared these points without slides, as I told you, Amy. But when you've asked me for the slides, I just did it this morning, and I concluded with, like, you are here as a mentor to make an enormous difference in girls' life. So you have to do it rightly. Like, you have to do it passionately.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you put that together really quick. And to answer your question, Rodney, yes, I included a link in this presentation, which I'm going to send to you after, or you can access it in your materials panel. Yeah, I love this because it's really, like, short and sweet presentation that gets right to the point about what we hope our mentors will help do. Yeah.
Sorry?
It was really great because it's like very solid tips on how we want our mentors to be engaging with our teams.
Yeah, exactly. It's about being engaged with the teams without without being negative, like without having a negative impact. Like, doing the work for them. It's about telling them that, oh, you can't do it by yourself. You will always need a help, or you will always need an extra help. And this is like the opposite of what the program is about. So it's really, like, it can be like a negative impact if you do so.
Definitely. And another thing I wanted to mention that was discussed in the morning session was that some people were grappling with, how do you deal with boys? Like, some schools feel like boys should be doing this too, and how do you engage them? And my response to that is that the curriculum is free for anybody to use. If your school has questions about involving boys, what I would suggest is definitely involving them, making sure that teams are just girls or just boys, having like an assembly and a celebration at the end after they make their apps, but then having the girls apply to the competition because the boys obviously can't. So yeah, I mean, there's ways to still engage boys in content. Boys are important to the conversation too about how people work within the field of technology. But yeah, definitely encouraging them to kind of keep the girls on their own teams. So if they want to separate and apply for the competition, they can. Yeah, and the curriculum is free for anybody to use, not just kids. I mean, adults could do it too if they wanted to. They just would have to be women who are 18 or younger who actually submit their deliverables. So thanks for making that presentation, Isen, on the fly. I just really liked it, and I want to showcase these best practices. Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome, for sure, for sure. Yeah, you can share it like everywhere with the master educators on the program. It's okay.
Cool.
I'm an open source person, so it's okay.
Thanks for being so willing. I see in the chat that there's similar programs like Apps for Good. I know that's based in the UK, and they're kind of coming to the US, and they do really good things. And they're a program that involves boys too. So that's free. So cool. All right, jumping back to the presentation, because I wanted to get to your points and all that. Where were we? Also talking about Australia, and another great thing I saw, and I'm hoping to get more information from Janine, who's the RA in Australia. They had their launch workshop already at the end of September, And I love how they combine this competition with the super, what is it called? The tech girls movement and the search for the super tech superhero girl. And you can see in the picture on the left that they're all wearing capes, that they designed comic book characters for themselves, which identify their strengths. That's kind of fun and cool. And yeah, I mean, any kind of fun ideas that you guys have, you should definitely share in your reports or on Slack or with me personally, because we want to make this program as fun as possible. And I have an activity that I share with you at the end of this to give you ideas about some fun things you can do, just to do team building activities, to identify strengths, character strengths in girls. You know, a lot of times working with girls can be, you know, sometimes the dynamics are hard to manage. And so when you see that happening, coming back and doing a team building exercise will always help at any point of the curriculum. Boys at this age tend to show, you know, feelings of not belonging by being macho and stuff. Sometimes girls give each other the cold shoulder, you know, so you want to find ways to get them engaged, happy, focusing on the positive, and moving forward. So if you want more information from Janine, I can ask her about how she does the superhero thing, because focusing on character strengths is really cool, in my opinion. And one other thing we did is we created a profile book, so like a real Facebook for our master educators and the student ambassadors. And what I did was I worked with our development team, and we took elements of your applications to become master educators, and we put them in this book. So we hope you like it. We hope you can use it whenever you want to, in any way you see appropriate. Sometimes it's nice saying, you know, hey, I belong to this cohort, and here's what we do. Here's who we are. And there's also a link to the resources in the presentation, like all the collateral you might need. And now we also have like a flyer you can create. It's an editable PDF, so you can advertise your launch workshop. So fun. As I mentioned earlier, I created a kind of more formal toolkit, which talks about guidelines, some interesting things that I've been seeing. Is some people have chosen to just go with a 2-hour sort of first workshop because of time constraints or because of things they want to focus on. Someone said, oh, like I want to focus on brainstorming just for 2 hours, and then halfway through the year or the season, we'll focus on programming for 2 hours. And then another person in Africa said, you know, my group needs just a lot of support learning some basic tech skills. I'm going to make this thing a hackathon. So I thought those were two kind of cool interpretations of the information that I shared. And just know that these are suggestions. We're not forcing you to do anything, but we know through trial and error what works pretty well. And, you know, if you have any questions at all, just feel free to email me or use Slack. Some other really positive things that I've been seeing happen are, you know, navigating that kind of complicated road between the regional ambassadors and master educators. You know, gaining clarity and working together to kind of carve out which role you're going to play. We're hoping that the regional ambassadors can help do some serious fundraising if you need a lot of resources that you don't have, and that you can focus again on transmission of the curriculum and helping students interpret it. So yeah, and always again, if you want to refer back to that fundraising webinar we did, you can always ask for that link. It has good ideas on how to just go about asking for basic donations in kind or things like that. It's definitely better to approach a company cold if you're going to ask for smaller things first. So that's what I would say. Do you guys have any questions about the launch workshops? Do you have any planned? I do have After this is over, I'll send a link to a document where I'm trying to gather all the information about when people plan to leave theirs, or if they've already happened. All right. How late would be the launch? Oh, yes. The general time frame that we're hoping is, if you only have 12 weeks, the realistically latest time you could do this is really January, in order to not be totally rushed. So we're hoping that the launch workshops happen between now and early January. If it says ours is coming up in November, it'd be nice if we could create a collection of plans and agendas. Sure, I can definitely share. You already shared yours with me, and I can share ones that, examples of really good ones. So, yeah. I know it's not easy to just go and do this, and I'm trying to ensure quality across the countries by providing at least a basic template for you guys so that you can rework it and adapt it. Jill says, we have our mentor workshop on November 10th and then launch during the week of December. Yes, during the hour of code. Yay. This is great. Early December is hard for some because the season, like the Christmas season's coming. But Computer Science Week in the US, at least, is during that first week of December. So, and Ada Lovelace's real birthday is in December, and you all know my feelings about Ada Lovelace. So, yes, yeah, definitely try to get a head start. That's all I have to say. The more time you have, the better. All right, there were some people who still had questions about the stipends, so I wanted to clarify. I need the W-9 form if you're a U.S. citizen. If you're not a U.S. citizen paying taxes here, then I want a W-8 form for you and some wiring funding instructions. So we have stuff for that. And to clarify again, you guys will be getting stipends in installments. So the first installment you can expect to receive is $500, and you'll see that in the template I gave you. And if you incurred any costs beyond that you needed to help, roll out your club, keep the receipts, let us know. A reasonable expectation is that we can provide up to $1,000 of additional kind of help here. I've seen some outlying requests that were in the tens of thousands. And we know that it costs a lot to roll out like a pitch event if you're going to do it in grand style. And if you have a ton of students, let me know. We can set you up with your regional ambassador to help fundraise for those events. But for what you're doing and what we have money for, you can reasonably expect $1,000 between now and July if you have expenses. Some of the things that, I've seen people ask for money for, which is totally fine, is, like the printing of outreach materials, business cards, basic costs, some of which might be like a monthly internet fee. If you need to travel from point A to B, if it's not, over $1,000, then that's totally fine. Just keep your receipts. If you think that you're going to have expenses down the road, I would try and be as prudent as you can be with spending that $1,000 and realize that it's going to come to you through the invoicing process. I expect the second round of invoicing to happen in early spring. So, cool. I just want to make sure, that the expectations are kind of like down to earth and something that we can promise and not have anyone experience heartbreak. So, all right. So here's instructions on the process. I've emailed you way too many times about this, but if you haven't gotten that in, it'd be great to get that by the end of this week so that I can submit as many all at once to the HR person here. All right, back to the fun. So, true or false? The ENIAC was the first electronic general purpose computer. Any guesses? Yes or no? Yeah, this is a tough one. Some sources say yes. because I worked at a museum, we never like to say the first anything. So it came to light that the Americans, the Germans, and the British were all working on computers to help crack the Nazi code during World War II. And it also, the Americans thought we had the first one. Germany might have had the first one had the computer guy Zuse not had to be on the run from the Nazis. It turned out in 1971 that in a conference, the world found out that the British actually had the first digital electronic general purpose computer called Colossus. So yes and no. It's always gray area with me. So maybe I should change my Easter egg questions for you guys. But I love these women. One of them was honored as a Computer History Museum Fellow. I'm not sure if she's the one on the left or the right, but her name was Jean Bartik. The women who programmed this thing had no manual. They were expected to just learn how to do this. They did it. They worked in pairs, so pair programming is pretty cool. And I just, I was known as the giant brain. And yeah, they kind of fell into, a big gaping hole in history where nobody really remembered them. But there's a movie now called Top Secret Rosies, and it's all about them. So if you're interested in that, if your students are interested, definitely track down that movie. Okay, I'm just getting a private message about starting time for the curriculum. It's fine whenever you want to start it, just as long as your teams are ready to submit at the deadline at the end of April. All right. Okay, I just want to wrap up with a few quick things. So, one thing I want you to do for next month, and I'm going to try to lighten your load a little bit and lighten my load because I need to respond to all your other things, is to just start building a library of activities that you think work really well. And to jumpstart this, I took one from Yvette. So thank you, Yvette. If you look in the comments section of this slide, the reason I included a googly-eyed tennis ball was because it's cute. But her activity, if you want to describe it, is different uses of a tennis ball. Disclaimer, the activity came from a great program that's free and downloadable called, oh yeah, can you just describe it a little bit?
Oh, sure. Hold on.
Thanks. I love having guest speakers. I'm going to make this a regular thing. Yvette, where are you? Oh wait, are you muted? All
Can you
right.
hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, so this program we tried out last spring in an entrepreneurship program that we ran over 4 weekends, and this was by far the most effective activity that we found. And it's a great icebreaker for people or for kids who don't know each other. It's very easy to conduct, cheap, which is really nice.
Yeah.
It can be as long and as quick as you want. So what you do is you have tennis balls waiting on the tables when the kids walk in. So it's already grabs their attention, and they're like trying to figure out what's this tennis ball going to be for. And then what they do is they sit there, and then we tell them to each just take a piece of paper and you write down all the things you can think of to do with this tennis ball, and be really creative. Describe what you want to do with it, if you want to cut it or if you want to reshape it or whatever. Be very, very creative. They get about 5 minutes to do that, and then what they do is they share with the person in front of them or with their table, and they find out that if they do combine their ideas, it's just so much more creative. And then they do it doing it together, and it's yes, it drives home the point that thinking as a team, they'll get much, much further and more creative ideas.
Nice. I like that. It definitely helps to hear the description, and I love activities that aren't necessarily related to Technovation, but are just meant to kind of spark creativity. I think it's really good to mix it up now and then because, you can sit forever and be working on a project. You could hit like a wall. Sometimes you just need to do something different, and I like that. So thank you, Yvette. That's awesome. One of my favorite activities Oh yeah, when I was working and training the student ambassadors, I adapted an activity from Tiffany Schlein, who does the science of character. She's like a great character building filmmaker person in the Bay Area. So if you go to the comments section when you get to the presentation, it's called Know Your Strengths. And there's a little character quiz that students can take, and they find out what their strengths are. And actually, I took it myself, and I realized that I had strengths I didn't realize. Like they lie dormant within you, and then you realize that they're there, and you're like excited to learn this about yourself. And then we posted larger categories on big stickies on the wall, and one of them was like temperance, one was persistence. There were like 4 others. And I had the students identify their major character on those big stickies and write about how they could apply that character trait to helping others in Technovation or being part of a team. So whenever you see your team like unraveling, it's really good to bring them back in with stuff like this. So yes, my assignment for you, I hope it's fun. The mission, should you choose to accept it next month, is to just identify an activity that maybe might not even be part of Technovation, but could be a team building thing or a brainstorming idea, stuff like that, and just share it with me in your report or with your report. And then I'll build this kind of best practices library. So if you see here, it's in the Master Educator Resources folder, and it's nestled within that. And you can just send me your stuff directly and I'll add to it. And if you want to be anonymous, you can. That's totally fine. I just want to have like stuff in our back pocket that other people can use and benefit from. So any questions about that? If you want to, you can continue working in your small groups if you want to share your activity and get ideas. I'm not going to enforce that for next month because sometimes you just want to get something done, and this involves a little less like personal feedback, so don't worry about that. I also just wanted to mention our next meetings. The next one is November 17th, and then there's one closer to Christmas. I'm wondering if I could just get a general show of hands whether December 22nd is good for you guys or not, because it does fall a couple of days before Christmas. And I definitely, I probably understand that a lot of people might not celebrate Christmas and might not be a big deal. But okay, so I think I might move that to December 15th, and I'll definitely let you guys know. All right, I'll probably just take a poll because there's so many other people in the morning session. And also, if this time is not working so great for you, just let me know and we'll find something better. All right then. So for next month, interesting activity that you think works well. Same as every month, if you could send me your activity updates. I love pictures. I want to highlight and celebrate all of your accomplishments, so I would love more of that. And yeah, we'll have the same meeting times unless they are not great for people. And a big thank you. I haven't found anything better than you rock and you rule. So if you have anything better, and if you also want to talk during any of these, webinars, I'm going to be picking out people who I see really great examples from. But if you want to be proactive and you want to say, hey, I want to speak at one of these meetings, that'd be great. Thank you. Anyone have any last questions? Comments? Criticisms? Anything? Okay. Get some sleep, please. You all have earned it. Thank you, guys. All right, bye.